I'm Davy, and I'm awesome! And welcome to Davy's Awesome Movies, where I review the styles of movies I love, the alternative, B-rated, cult-style flicks. And this week we're going to start a series that was actually one of my favorite series when I was growing up. The first of this series was made in 1989, and it was directed by David Worth and Mark DeSalle. Written by Glenn A. Bruce, Mark DeSalle, and Jean-Claude Van Damme. And produced by Mark DeSalle. Made by Kings Road Entertainment, and distributed by the Cannon Group and Lionsgate Films. Ladies and gentlemen, the movie that showed the range of blood sport. Kickboxer. The movie opens with an Eric Sloan, played by Dennis Alexio, who is defending his ISKA championship title. That is a real title that really did exist, that Dennis Alexio really did hold. Although it looked nothing like the championship belt that they put in this. They picked Dennis Alexio to be in this movie because of the fact that he himself was an actual kickboxing champion. He was a former world kickboxing champion in both the light heavyweight and cruiserweight divisions. Some reporters ask Eric Sloan that since he's beaten everybody there is to beat in the United States, how about he goes over to Thailand and takes on their best?
Bangkok, Taiwan, Tokyo. Hey, what's the difference? I'm kicking ass wherever I go.
I don't know which of the two is more badass, Eric Sloan or his Jerry curl. So the brothers, Kurt and Eric, Kurt being played by Jean-Claude Van Damme, go to Bangkok.
You sure had it easy with Mom in Europe. Dad never let up.
That's how they explain that these brothers have different accents, whereas Eric Sloan is clearly a white-bread American accent and Van Damme is clearly a Belgian. Because in every one of Van Damme's movies, they always had to find some way to explain his accent. Except for Street Fighter. They just kind of went, you know what, deal with it. Not only that, but if you were watching this and felt like that line was very thrown in, it was. Because originally, Kirk Sloan was supposed to be played by Chuck Norris. That would have been awesome. They talk a little bit more about their parents.
Well, big brother, they could never get along. But I'm glad we do.
This dialogue just seems so natural, doesn't it? It doesn't feel like their chemistry is forced at all. When they get to the arena, Kirk walks by Tong Po, Eric's opponent. Played by Michelle Kizzy, a Belgian-Moroccan actor who was also a childhood friend of Van Damme's, who was originally just the technical advisor, choreographer in this film. But when he heard that they wanted to get a really tall, Asian-looking man to play Tong Po, he volunteered and got the part. And they put makeup on him to make him look a little bit more Asian than he already looked. Kirk runs to the back to tell Eric what he saw.
Don't fight this guy, trust me.
Hey!
Eric doesn't care though. He's here to fight! However, once they fight, he does very quickly learn that in Thailand they take kickboxing a lot more serious and it is a lot more brutal than in the United States. That's real. But Eric will not throw in the towel. He refuses to quit. At least until... That happens. Kirk tries to confront Tong Po about his unprofessional behavior in the ring.
Get going on!
Po doesn't care.
You know you can give Americans a bad rap.
No, he doesn't. He's Belgian. They carelessly take Eric out to the back and just leave him stranded there all alone. That is until Lieutenant Taylor, the guy in the audience, comes over with his van and helps take Eric to a hospital. But at the hospital, they get some really bad news.
I'm free. You can never walk again.
And of course, Kirk wants revenge against Tong Po. He wants to beat him up. However, Taylor informs Kurt that Tong Po is very connected. He's very loved by the gangsters. So to go after him anywhere except for in the ring, he would get killed. That's the only place he's going to get his revenge, is inside the ring.
You ain't good enough!
So now Kurt has no choice! But to saunter around to conveniently emotional 80s music. Kirk wanders around and around trying to find some school that will train him in Muay Thai. But none of them will train him because one, he's an American. And two, they're not going to train somebody to go after Tong Po. Not going to happen. He's a celebrity there. So Lieutenant Taylor finds Kurt and takes him to the one guy he thinks may be crazy enough to train him.
I'm telling you, man, he's weirder than a three-headed cat.
After dropping him off, Taylor leaves to go do some business, and Kurt meets Zien.
May I help you?
Zien is a firm believer in home defense. After telling Zien about his brother and what happened, and why he wants to be trained, Zien tells Kurt, first, walk to the town next to us, go to my niece Smiley's store, and get some groceries.
Catching people in rope make me hungry.
He ain't lying. It really does.
It's humiliating. Why are you doing this?
Kurt goes to Miley's store and gets the groceries around the same time that Freddie Lee's boys, a gangster in the area, who Tong Po works for, come to get extortion money. Miley explains to Kurt that it's okay, they all around have to pay extortion to Freddie Lee, but Kurt doesn't care. It's been 35 minutes of this film. It's time for him to kick some Van Damme ass! Yeah! But Miley is not happy about this. She says this could get her in a lot of trouble.
Look what you did to my store! Oh.
You know, I'm glad they threw this in because in most of these movies where somebody gets into a fight in a grocery store or a diner or a little corner store, it always makes me laugh that you saved this person from losing like $200 while at the same time causing like a couple $1,000s worth of damage. I don't think they'd be happy. Back at Zien's, he tells Kurt he'll decide if he's going to train him in the morning.
Change clothes.
He decides to go ahead and train him. First thing he teaches Kurt is how to absorb damage. He'll learn that later in the montage. Miley comes to tell Zien about what happened.
Good for him.
Yeah, he can get away with it because he's American. Which makes me wonder, in Thailand, is that what they do? Do they look at white people and go, American? Because white people come from a lot of countries. Australia, New Zealand, Germany, Austria, Russia, UK. Not to mention America. We have way more than just white people. After this, we watch a lot of training. A lot. Where Kurt is learning, but not really progressing from Zien's teachings. Basically, this is a lot of filler. So after a while of not progressing, Zien has Kurt kicking a palm tree, and he tells him that he's going to either have to kick it over or pack his bags and leave, because he's had enough.
What about this?
Now he's serious. Van Damme serious! Yeah! But this does come with a price. Well, his leg's bleeding, but at least he's serious. Now we get a montage. The further you go, the more you improve. That's what we call a montage. As part of the training, Zien now takes Kurt to a bar, gets him drunk, and tells him to dance. Why? Who gives a Van Damme? Just dance! But of course, a fight happens. Zien apparently told those guys that Kurt said that they were not good fighters.
And that their mother have sex with mules.
Training. Now it's time for Kurt to have his first official Muay Thai fight. Then yeah! And the crowd starts chanting a new nickname for him.
Look so cow! White warrior!
Yeah, sure. Now to business.
Give it the ball!
And now to the crucial, oh so important part of the movie, where Van Damme hooks up. It had to be in here somewhere. More training! That wasn't part of your training. You owe him a new water pitcher, buddy. Eric comes to express his feelings to Kurt about how he doesn't want him to fight Tong Po. But Kurt tells him he has to, for him, because Tong Po put him in a wheelchair.
And I don't want you in one alongside me.
Why not? You could race! Just then a messenger comes, informing them that if Kurt really wants to fight Tong Po, he's going to have to do it in the ancient way.
Hands wrapped in hemp and resin, dipped in broken glass.
Hell yes! Taipei deathmatch! Tong Po's boss, Freddie Lee, goes to his boss, the higher up, to borrow $1 million to bet on Tong Po.
I trust you will not fail me.
And for some reason, they dubbed this actor, even though he has a very small part. They could have just found an actor who spoke English. To ensure that Kirk doesn't win, Freddie Lee has Miley violated by Tong Po, has Eric kidnapped, and they almost kill Zien's dog. So at this point, I'd probably throw the fight. And now it's fight time, where the fighters have to cover their hands in rope, resin, and broken glass. I prefer gummy bears.
We don't care if you get it.
But Freddie Lee has a message for Kurt. He not only wants Kurt to let Tong Po win, but win decisively.
Oh, brother, die very slowly.
And this is why earlier he should have just let it go and went home. Because yes, in Thailand, the Muay Thai game is very, very heavily influenced by the gangsters. So naturally, Kurt does let Tong Po beat the ever-loving snot out of him. Zien, on the other hand, he's looking for Eric. But eventually Zien is surrounded by a bunch of gangsters with guns. And as good as he is, there's no way he's going to get away with that. But then... Taylor!
Sorry it took so long. Traffic was a mess.
Honestly, this was a small part in the movie, but it was a really interesting character. I really wish that they would have done more with him. Or maybe have done like a spin-off movie about Taylor. I'd have watched the crap out of that. As for the guy who tried to kill the dog, he's hung up. Which honestly, good. There was no reason to try to kill that dog. Back to the fight! Kurt is getting more and more beaten up as it goes on. Bloodied and battered. And in between the rounds, Tong Po decides he's gonna let Kurt in on something.
You bleed like my lead.
No! Now he's mad. And good thing he's really pissed because just then...
Mixu cow!
Kurt can fight! Kurt asks Smiley to cut off the ropes. I wouldn't. But... it gives him confidence. I guess. You could still have confidence with the broken glass on your hand, I'm just saying. And of course, Kurt starts winning. Not just winning, but winning very, very decisively. To the point that he is really humiliating Tong Po. Like putting a little extra cherry on top of there. Until finally... no retreat! No surrender! Oh wait, sorry. Wrong Van Damme movie. But I did review that one. And for a little good measure... it's a happy ending! Well, a happy ending until we get to Kickboxer 2. We'll get there. So there you have it. That's the Van Damme classic that spawned a series of 5 movies. Sorta. And so far 2 remakes and another one coming. Kickboxer. This movie can be considered a success, having a $2.7 million budget and doing about $50 million in the box office worldwide. So it definitely made money. And it was a canon film, so of course it was low budget. However, it's another one of those movies that we grew up loving that was insanely bashed. The critics hated it. In fact, even currently today on Rotten Tomatoes, it has a critic score of 36%. However, an audience score of 64%. So, more than half of the people who watch this movie like it. But they probably grew up with it. Because, like, even me, I grew up loving this movie, watching this movie a lot, because I liked martial arts films, and I wasn't that particular about the acting and stuff. As an adult, I watch this movie, it still entertains me, but it is very formulaic. Like, overall to the story, there really isn't much to it. It's a very basic, very done storyline, kind of like most Van Damme movies. In fact, this movie got a lot of comparison to Van Damme's earlier hit, Bloodsport. And in many ways, that criticism was fair in my opinion, but shut up, it was still a fun movie. The action sequences in the movie was fantastic, and of course the choreography was directed completely by Van Damme, which I will give Van Damme. Say what you want about him, but he was really good at the choreography. He had a really great way of making the action very exciting. Van Damme wasn't in any of the sequels, which is probably why the next one I actually like better. But the sequels do actually follow the storyline. Like I said, we'll get to them until we get to the 5th sequel. The 5th sequel is very loosely related to the others. And then, of course, the remakes that came out later that Van Damme is very heavily involved in. But as far as my opinion of the movie overall itself, whereas I can't say that this was like Van Damme's best movie, it not even close to being his worst. It was a good movie. It was fun. And for its time, no, it wasn't original, but it was entertaining. You gotta remember, it was an 80s martial arts action movie. There wasn't a whole lot of effort put into these kinds of movies. It was just get a big name actor who can fight, put him in a movie with a very overly done script, and just have at it. Which is kind of what it was. However, one thing I did love about this movie is it was very instrumental in introducing the United States to kickboxing in and of itself. It was around, we had known about it, but it was one of those things that not a whole lot of Americans cared about it, and this kind of sparked a little interest. Still wouldn't say that kickboxing is like a mainstream thing in the United States, but it got more play. And Americans getting more interested in it is one of the many steps we got to having mixed martial arts. So in some ways, you could very much say, hey, Van Damme, thank you for bringing us the UFC. Okay, I don't know if I could go that far. Let's forget that. But again, did find this movie very entertaining, and I have found most of the sequels entertaining. It's a good series of movies that I'm actually really happy to get started on. So, on that note, I do highly recommend that you guys check out Kickboxer. It's fun. Just take it for what it is. So there you have it. That's my movie review this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, hit that little bell so you get notifications for when I post new videos, and leave a comment. Tell me what you thought of Kickboxer. Tell me which of the Kickboxer movies was your favorite. Please don't say it was one of the remakes. Love you guys.